Morning everyone. Today is officially the 3rd of May and I know I'm starting a couple days late with this, but I thought I would do like a reading vlog, a May reading vlog. I've already picked my first book. I picked it out basically on the last day of April just because I'd just finished a book then, so I wanted to pick my next book to start on the 1st of May. And I picked A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I'm pretty excited to read this. I've heard a lot. I'm trying to keep my expectations just, kind of not too high, not too low, without expecting it to be magnificent or expecting it to be really bad, because I have heard so many good things about this book and I'm very concerned that I'm going to get into this and I'm not going to like it, or things like that. So I think I've already put a little bit of expectation on it already and I shouldn't have. But I'm going to just try and take a step back and just go into it and try not to think about what other people have said and how other people feel about it, and just see what I think and go from there. But I haven't read much the last 2 days. I've been pretty busy, but I think, I just got to chapter 6. So we're just going to continue. I've got work tonight, so I won't be able to read too much, just whenever I can today at some point in between chores and housework and stuff. But yes, I'm excited. I'm so keen to read this. I want to dive in. But in saying that too, the first 2 days of May I was almost like putting it off reading it, so I'd only read little bits at a time. But I'm getting to that point where I just want to just dive in and just sit down and not move for a long time and just get into this book, because I'm very excited about it and I think I'm going to like it, because I like a lot of other fantasy books and people kind of compare these to different very, very, very popular fantasy books, so we'll see what happens. But yes, we're starting off with A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it is officially the 7th of May. I think I talked about this on like the 3rd or something, but anyway, it's now the 7th. I thought I'd give myself a couple of days to just read and get into the story, and I thought maybe if I get halfway or something I would update you, but then eventually halfway became now only like a quarter left. So I think I've just hit chapter 34 of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and it's taking me a bit longer than I expected to read this. Honestly, I thought that given the hype and everything, and just given so many people's reactions to it, I thought that I would probably fly through this book. But like I said earlier, I think I put too much pressure on myself to love this book like everyone else does. But I mean, I really do. But I think the pressure's just getting to me, which is just so stupid. I need to take a step back and just not even think about that. But man, this is good. I mean, I can see why it's worth the hype, 100%. The only thing I've been a bit frustrated with is just kind of my progression with the book and like how it's all going. But other than that, it's been really good. And there have been a few little bits that were a little bit slow to kind of draw me in and stuff, but also I kind of blame that on my surroundings and what's been happening this week. I've been very distracted, and I think that's also half the reason I've been struggling to get into it, is because I've just been thinking about a million other things all at once, but I don't really want to spoil anything in this because I mean there's so many spoil vlogs on here anyway. So if you want to see what happens, go watch one of those. But man, I mean I'm so glad I picked this up. I went and got the second book like a couple days ago, so I'm probably gonna read this a bit after. I might have a break and read another book or so in between, and then I'm going to start this. And man, I'm actually excited because apparently this book, according to Mist and Fury, is like everyone's favorite, or at least majority's favorite. So I am excited to start this and just keep going in this world. It's picked up a lot. I have been a bit shocked about a few things and how the story's kind of progressed, and a few little twists and stuff that I didn't expect. So it's definitely kept me engaged when I have been reading it and really into it. Like I've just flown through the pages. Love this fantasy world, all the rules, all the world building. Because I know that this is technically like, because it's the first book, there's a lot of world building in it. So you kind of just getting used to all the characters and all the magic system rules, like every other fantasy book. But it's good. It's good, and I know that there's just going to be so many more twists and so many more things. And I mean, as I'm reading this, I know obviously my mind's going to change, but I do like Tamlin at the moment, but I think everyone likes Tamlin in this first book, and Feyre are together, so I'm just kind of, I know that something's going to happen, and it's just, yeah, I have a feeling, and I've also heard a few other things about maybe other characters and stuff getting involved, but at the moment, I'm enjoying the first book and just enjoying the journey and how these two characters are kind of falling for each other and just all that sort of stuff that's going on. And Lucian, just a smart ass as usual, he's good. But Nesta is making me a little bit irritated. She was at the start of the book because it just kind of, her character's quite rude and obnoxious and just, she's so, she seems so focused on just wanting to be rich and their situation, how they ended up in that situation, and how she's reacting to it. It just seems, a little bit kind of bratty behaviour in a way. But as we've gone through the book, her character has definitely changed a bit, and you can tell why she acts like that and kind of what's happened. And it just kind of opens your eyes to kind of how she's actually feeling, because deep down she's feeling a lot more than her character lets people think she is. So it's really nice to just kind of see a bit more vulnerability with the characters and kind of how they're growing as well with everything that's happened and how dramatically their lives have changed. So it's good to see. It's really good. But man, I would recommend this book already. Like this, I know the series is going to be so good, and like I said, I've already really, really liked this book, even though it has taken me a bit. But I'm just so keen to keep going and read this, and I think as soon as I get through halfway through A Court of Mist and Fury, I'll be going and getting the next book. I am really liking this series so much, and it's taken me by surprise. There's been a lot of things that I haven't been able to tell, that I haven't been able to guess, so it's keeping me on my toes, and that's what I really like in a fantasy book. So we'll keep going, and I'll probably just come back when I'm done, and we'll move on to the next one. Hello, so today is the 10th of May, and I officially finished A Court of Thorns and Roses on the 9th, so we're done. It took a little bit, but that's okay, because once I got about halfway, it did pick up a lot more, and once there was, the kind of plot points added, the complications, the trials, the tests, the action, just everything in the end just made it fly by. So I would highly recommend this book. I loved it. It was so good. I know I said earlier that I was with Tamlin. Obviously, like at this point, it's kind of seems like it's still, it's still there. But I can understand the hype about Rhysand, and I know what's going to happen with those two, because I mean, this book's been out for so long, and there's stuff all over the internet. But like I said, I stepped back and I enjoyed the story, and that's why I said earlier that I still want her and Tamlin to be together. but I just know, like, you pick up on some stuff about Rhysand in this book, and some stuff, I guess, about Tamlin a little bit too, but, I mean, man, it was good, and it ended on a really nice note, and I'm glad that it ended the way it ended, because now I've got a few more books that I want to read in between this and the next one. So, I mean, I really want to read the next one, but I'm happy to take a step back and continue some other books before I jump back into this world. But it was just so good. Like, I loved it so much, and I would highly recommend, if you haven't already read this, which I know like everyone has, but I'm so glad I read it. And also, there's a thing, a lot of people have said that they've got the riddle. I think I spoiled it for myself, not gonna lie, but when I was reading it, honestly, I don't think I would have gotten it if I hadn't known the answer, which is like terrible to say, but yeah, I was like looking at it and I was like, I don't know if I would have been able to get this straight away. It probably would have taken me a little bit to think about it to get it, but then in the end, like when it all got explained and everything, it made sense what the answer was, so I was like, yeah, okay, that does make sense. That's what it would be. So anyway, we got there in the end. Finished it now. We are now starting a new book as of today, and I have chosen The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black, which is the second book in the Stolen Heir duology, also a part of the Eltham world and all that sort of stuff. So it's good. I'm keen. There's been a few things mentioned about Card and Jude in this book, and I think they might be a bit more involved in this book, which I'm actually really excited about, because I kind of wish that they were involved a little bit in the first book, but I also understand why they weren't, because there was a whole story and a bit more of the world they had to build up to kind of get to this one too. So I am keen. I think there's been a few conversations at the start of this book where they've been in a few scenes and stuff, so it's been kind of cool to read about. But I am keen also to get Oak's point of view about everything that's happened and what's gonna happen for the rest of this book. So we'll see. I think I'm gonna like this one a lot. We'll see how long it takes me, but just started today. I think I'm on like page 12, and I can come back later and have some updates. But until then, we're gonna start reading. Let's go! The 13th of May, a Monday. I have just under 100 pages left of The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black, and I just want to quickly jump on before kind of everything happens and, you know, all the main action happens and we get the kind of conclusion. And holy moly, I mean, this book, I felt like I've flown through this book pretty quickly. I mean, I don't know why, it's just been so easy to read. Such a nice, easy read, and I've just been really enjoying it, been really sucked into the world. I love coming back to the world of Eltham, especially like loving the Cruel Prince series so much, and reading the Stolen Heir and everything, and now just to get back into it, it's just so nice, because everything's already done, the world's already been built. It's just nice to jump back in and get straight into the action. People do, and I can definitely see why it is so hyped. So definitely enjoying it. There's been a few things happen. I kind of wish that we could have gotten Ren's point of view on this one a little bit, even if it was for like a few chapters, because with the first book, The Stolen Heir, compared to her character now in this book, it almost seems like, I mean, she's slightly different. She definitely grew in that book, and you could see how she progressed and how she kind of grew and everything, and how her powers developed and everything like that. and she's definitely a lot stronger. She's book, and it's just really interesting to see. But I am really glad that we've got Oak's point of view. It's been really interesting reading his, and I'm keen to just, see what happens and how this is going to end, because I really don't know. And yeah, just there's been a lot of politics, a lot of talk about kind of the conflict in this book and what's going on. So, I mean, it has been interesting, and like I said, I'm so glad that they brought Jude and Carden back into this story, even though their characters seem slightly different to the kind of Cool Prince trilogy. But I'm so glad, like, it's so good reading about them again, and I love it so much. And yes, we're going to keep reading, we're going to finish this book. I don't know when, but we're just going to finish it. Finish it when I finish it, and I'll jump back on and let you know how I felt and all that, and then we'll pick our next book, and who knows, that might be the last book of the month. If not, we'll just keep going, but almost done, less than 100 pages, and I'll get back to you when I'm done. We finished the Princess Throne last night on the 13th of May. Yeah, it's May, but yes, finished this on the 13th of May. It was great. Oh my god, I loved it so much. I was hooked in the end. Like, I had to finish this just to see what was going to happen. And man, it was good. It was a good, satisfying ending. Would recommend just diving into the world of Elfland and checking it out, and seeing what you think, because I love this book. I love the other ones so much. I forget how much I love them until I'm actually back in the world again. So I would highly recommend reading this. And yeah, I don't know, I don't really have too much to say about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. And we are going to move on now to the next book I chose for this month, which is actually Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I wanted to read some classics this year and have been failing miserably because I've only read one classic book, and it's like not really an old classic, it's like a newer classic, if that makes sense. If I can remember what the name of it is, I'll put it up on the screen. But yes, we're going to read Pride and Prejudice and see how we go. I did start this book once before, and I read like the first page maybe 5 times just to understand what was going on. I had no idea. I could not understand. I was just really not in the good headspace to be reading this book, because it just takes a little bit of brain power to actually read these books sometimes. And for a while I didn't think I was going to read this ever again, but I seen it back at the shops and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it another go. I'm going to buy it, I'm going to read it, and I've been putting it off. But no more, we're not going to put it off any longer. We're going to read it now and see how I go. A bit more of it every day, because I know it's going to take me a bit to get into. Yeah, definitely, it's going to take me a little bit to read this, so I'm already prepared mentally, but I'll come back to you when I have a bit of an update. But this is the next book. It has been officially now 6 days since I've started Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I've only read up to 115 pages in 6 days. I mean, the old Hayley definitely would have taken like a few months to only just read this, because I only read a couple of pages every day, or just read whenever I could or felt like it. Yeah, the usual. It took me a lot to kind of process this book, and I am definitely finding that when I'm distracted or I'm not concentrating or I'm not using my brain to read this book, I find it very hard to process what's going on, and just hard to understand the whole thing and what is happening in that scene and everything. So it has been a bit hard, but when I've actually been concentrating and reading the book and actually enjoying it and been pulled into it, I've understood almost everything. I've been able to follow along with the storyline and what's happening and things like that. So it's had its moments. That's why it's taken me so long. I mean, I've also been kind of everywhere the last week or so and haven't really had too much time to read either. I mean, I know a lot of people definitely struggle to get through it and understand it, and yeah, I mean, I'm giving it a good chance. I want to finish it. I want to just keep reading it because I know that, Jane Austen is a very popular classic author, and I want to read more classics. I just got to push through that kind of language barrier almost. Like, it's old English. It's kind of hard to understand, especially for us nowadays. It's very dramatic. It's very out there, very posh, very just very hard to understand. It's been a struggle, but no, we're getting there. I just thought I'd update everyone because, man, oh man, it's starting to get interesting. I've even started, if I can pick up this book, writing notes in the back, just things of like what I've been going along. I've been underlining, if I can find a page where I've underlined things, just to kind of also help me understand what's going on and follow kind of Darcy's and Mr. Darcy's and Elizabeth Bennet's kind of story a little bit more too, even though there's all these side characters and stuff and all these plot points and twists and everything added to it. It's just been it's been hectic. But there was also a scene where I wrote a little bit too after the chapter was done because it was like one of the characters was asking Elizabeth Bennet to marry him basically, but he's, I think, technically their cousin, her and the Bennet's sister's cousin, so it was just like, I mean, it did happen in those days, but still, it was a bit weird to read about, not gonna lie, and just the mum's reaction, and just, like I said, the characters are so dramatic, so, everything that they do has gotta be quite dramatic, quite drastic. It's like, family or nothing. It's trying to get the wealth. It's trying to get, a good family, have a child, all those things are their main focus. So it is interesting to read about because this is what it would have probably been like in those days anyway. So it is good. It is interesting to read about. But we're just struggling a little bit just because, like I said, the language and how they spoke and just everything like that. And because it's a classic, it's making it a bit harder. But we're going to push on. We're going to keep reading. Maybe I'll update you soon. Just see how I go. But yeah, I haven't made too much progress yet. But I'm sure we'll get there. A little bit of a dilemma, I guess. It's probably not really a dilemma, but I've officially lost count of how many days I've been reading Pride and Prejudice for, because it's taken me a lot, like I said earlier, it's using a lot of my brain power, it's using a lot of concentration to get into it. I've only just reached 212 pages today, and yes, like I said, I've lost count how many days I've been doing this. I'm thinking I have lunch cooking at the moment, so I might have that, and then I'm going to set a timer for probably about 2 hours and see how much I can read of this in 2 hours. Set that and try and get a big chunk done today, and I kind of want to finish it up because it's getting kind of a lot, and I'm seeing all these other books on my shelf are looking a lot more interesting at the moment. Even though I did just get to a part in the book where I think Mr. Darcy's kind of admitted how he's feeling towards Elizabeth, so it definitely got a bit interesting. I was pretty hooked for a few chapters there. It was good. It was pretty good, but obviously now there's like 100, I don't know, there's like 365 pages or something in this whole book, and yeah, we're just gonna keep going, honestly, because it's just driving me nuts. I just kind of want to get it done, but I'm hoping once I get to volume 3, because there's 3 volumes in this book, that kind of action and things and the events and stuff will start picking up and become a little bit more dramatic and fun to read, and all the drama will be spilt and blah blah blah. So it's just, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to set a timer and we're going to just see how I go, because I would like to just kind of push myself to kind of get back into this, because I've been a little bit lazy with it lately and it hasn't been good. So yes, we'll see how I go. Good morning, everyone. It is officially Sunday the 26th of May, and last night I officially finished Pride and Prejudice, and holy moly, and I just have no words. I mean, I really did not think I was going to finish it last night. I thought maybe I'd try and finish it by today. I kind of had a goal set to finish it today. I wrote notes in the back of the book, and I was thinking maybe I just say kind of briefly a few things, and I probably will have a few spoilers in this book, because I mean, it's been out for so long, obviously, and most people have read it, and if you haven't read it, you've definitely heard of the story, and you might have seen the movie, whatever. But I'm just going to briefly go over what I thought. So you know how I already felt about kind of how I'd struggle in terms of kind of, if I wasn't concentrating, I would definitely struggle to understand what was going on. When I was actually drawn in and I was able to actually understand, it was really good. It was really good to read. I absolutely loved reading it. I enjoyed it. It was good. I liked it a lot. I mean, I annotated so much of it too, just to help me also, follow along with the story and all that. But I wrote down in the back, first off, just about the whole kind of cousin situation, which I thought was very odd. And I mean, it happened obviously back then. It was probably pretty normal, so weird for nowadays. But yes, odd to read about. But Elizabeth obviously said no. I talked about the sister Lydia with Wickham, and she basically runs away with him, and then they end up getting married, because obviously Mr. Darcy comes and kind of saves the day, meeting with Elizabeth Bennet's uncle and father and kind of discussing everything. So Wickham basically gets what he wants. It was a bit of a deranged, toxic relationship, a little bit, but said at the back of the book that he stops kind of loving her or seeing her in the same light, and Lydia kind of slowly follows in those footsteps eventually. But man, it's just like, I hated reading about that relationship because it's just ridiculous and stupid, and he's just such a horrid man because he's just greedy. But I know also that was normal too. But I'm also glad that Jane Austen kind of included different kind of relationships and different scenarios and everything with Elizabeth and Darcy a little bit, even though they start off kind of not liking each other. They eventually do end up loving each other, and obviously Darcy's got money and it's all kind of convenient, but it's obviously not sunshine and rainbows for everyone. And I think it is good that Jane Austen included things like that too, and also kind of went a little bit in depth about the parents' relationship as well, so you can kind of see how the mother and father kind of get along and what happens with them a little bit. And speaking of the mum, man, her opinions were hard to read sometimes. She was very harsh on everyone, and especially on her daughters. She was just very harsh to a lot of people and would kind of change her mind and change her opinions. Like, one minute she hated Mr. Darcy, and the next minute Elizabeth would say that they're getting married, and it's, she's a bit shocked, and then, oh, but he's a lovely man, he's a gentleman, he's tall, he's handsome, he's rich, oh, this is amazing, and just love him instantly. So it's like, okay, fair enough. No words. And I think, I just said something about how Elizabeth Bennet and Darcy kind of end up together in the end, and how he pays off Wickham and all that, so that all works out, and just how kind of his attitude changes, and how once they got rid of their pride and prejudice, that they seemed that they were kind of meant for each other and all that kind of stuff. So it was a good book. I did enjoy it. It took me, I don't even know when I started this. I think I started this like the 18th or the 14th or something. Like it's taken me a while. I lost count. But eventually I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to see how it goes and try not to rush too much, because when I was rushing, that's obviously when I was struggling to understand everything that was going on. But I would recommend, if you want to get into classic, I'd recommend reading this. It's a good book. It's probably a good one maybe to start off with. And I'm thinking, because today's the 26th, sorry, I might end the video here because there's only a couple more days left of May, and I have just started a book this morning, Powerless by Lauren Roberts, so I'm kind of keen to see how this is going to go. I've heard a lot of good things about this, and obviously this is her debut novel and everything, so I'm actually really keen to read this. And also, as someone who's trying to write a book, just someone can write this as their debut novel. If you really put in your time and effort and you love doing this, then it probably will turn out amazing regardless. So I'm keen to read this. I'll probably tell you more about how I felt in the next. But yes, I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for joining me, and catch ya.